Another quick one, I thought we might check out content aware fill, or at least how it operates and functions in After Effects 2023. I've got a bit of footage here, and I'm going to make a comp for that to go into. The comp that I'm going to make is going to be just standard def, and I might make it about 10 seconds long. Go okay. This footage that I have linked you to is pretty big, so I'm going to scale it down 50%. And we'll have a look at how that's looking. So what we've got is we've got a couple walking on a beach. So that's great. It's captured via a drone, I suppose. Over in the distance there is some other figures, and we want to cut them out so that it's just like an abandoned kind of island situation. So we'll try and do that with content aware fill. And I'm going to slip this through so that, well, maybe it's this kind of part, this section. So the end. Because I want to be able, there's 1, 2, 3, 3 things that I want to cut out there. All right, so I've got my footage set up. It's the end of that clip, and I've resized it and just cut it down a bit because this actually takes a bit of computing power. And then I'm going to make sure that I've got up the content aware fill window or panel. So you'll find it under window. And oops, I've just closed it. There it is there. First thing we have to do is we need to make a couple of masks. So I'm going to zoom into the figures that I want to get rid of. And I'll create a couple of masks on this footage with the ellipse. So I'm just going to drag that out around that character. And instead of having the mask set to add, I want to set that to subtract. Great, and I'm going to do the same thing for these as well. Maybe just, so this is a second mask that I'm creating, and different color called mask 2, and I'm going to set that to subtract as well. So it's going to chop out these areas here. And then a final one, these can be different shapes, I suppose. I'll make a square one here. Something approximating a square. And I'll set that to subtract as well. So 3 masks all set to subtract. So that's good, and the good thing about our masks is that they're keyframeable, because the position of these things is going to change over time. You can see our characters drift, and so we can keyframe those mask positions of all 3 of those masks. So let's add a keyframe, sorry, mask path, not mask position. I'm going to keyframe the mask path, and then just move forward in time. And for each one of these, we'll grab the move tool and, oops, I might just double click on that and just make sure that our mask is indeed covering up each of our, oops, getting distracted by the phone there. So that's 3 keyframes, and then this one here as well, make sure that's covering up. And then I'm going to move forward in time and do that again. Double clicking on it, I can make it a little bit bigger if need be. I'm just selecting on the property, double clicking on the actual mask. Oops, trying to double click on the mask. There we go. And moving that over to hide those characters. And that's kind of going to do it to the end, I think. Just at about this point here, we'll go back through and just check that it's all looking okay. Finally, mask 1 needs just a little bit of adjustment. All right, so that's going to move and kind of track, or our mask's going to move and track our figures there. I'm not sure I quite got the shadow happening with this one. Maybe we could just make a few adjustments. All right, now we need to do the content aware part. And you can see that our content aware fill panel has kind of located those masks, which is good. We can expand that fill if we want. I'm just going to leave it as is because I think I did a pretty good job capturing those elements to remove. There's a few different methods with which we can implement the content aware fill. I'm going to use object. Surface is used for if you've got something on a surface you want to remove, like say take some graffiti out of a shot. You can try surface, and edge blend is supposed to be a kind of a quicker version of all of the above. I'm going to do it over the work area. This might take a second. I might pause the recording. And we can also, well then the next thing we need to do is just generate that fill layer. Click on that and it'll start working through its process, analyzing the footage and the mask and trying to fill in those pixels. And it's generated a new layer here, which is an image sequence of PNGs. And it's kind of trying to fill in all of those missing pixels, and you can see it's done a pretty good job there, which is good. And I'll just zoom out. Definitely pretty good for our purposes, and given that the fills are in the distance there, and we'll just have a scroll through, play through, and I can see some artifacts there, but it's not a bad job. It's certainly, changing the atmosphere and making it as if these figures are indeed on their own in this landscape. There is the option also, if you're not kind of happy with how it's going, to create a reference frame. And if I do that, click on that, it's going to open up Photoshop. Just bring it over to this window here. So that just opened up Photoshop. And what I've got the opportunity to do here is to kind of fix up the fill, and maybe I've got the patch tool selected there. I could make a few adjustments, or I could use the clone tool or something similar. Save that and then toggle back to After Effects, and it will implement or try and adapt that those kind of adjustment tweaks that I've made into the next time I generated a fill layer. So if I wanted to implement that, I would generate the fill layer again. Anyway, it's worked quite well in this instance, but it was a pretty fine bit of detail that I was trying to brush out. I have had sort of more obvious things, it's been quite difficult to use the content aware fill to seamlessly or convincingly remove those items. But yeah, useful tool, and maybe in the future, next generations, it's going to get more powerful with the AI getting better